everyone. Folks hanging around the door, come on in, take a seat. We are about to get started. It already sounds more exciting than debates were just a minute ago. Come right in. Dance if you must. Y'all, welcome in. Don't be shy. Come on up front. Take a seat. We are about to get started. We are funding a movement. Welcome. I see some folks watching from outside. Come on in. All right. Wait. There's like, people need to sit down. Are we just like starting? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Y'all, everyone kind of moseying in. Come on in. Make yourselves comfortable. Don't be afraid to come to the front of the room. We're all in this together. Okay, everyone, we are about to get started. Who's ready? Show of ASL hands. Yes. Okay. Good afternoon, comrades. Boa tarde. Buenas tardes, camaradas. My name is Hannah Thallenberg. My pronouns are they, them, and I am proudly representing Houston DSA. It's an honor to be here, united by our determination to build a more just future where social and economic decisions are democratically made by those whom they most affect. Our power to build this future comes from solidarity. And that's what we'll be hearing about tonight from comrades from DSA's ranks and around the world, as well as special guests, Cecily Maillard Cruz and our own Linda Sarsour. Well, I knew solidarity before I knew socialism. I came into DSA through reproductive justice, a framework developed by Black women 25 years ago, which Sister Song, based right here in Atlanta, defines as the human right to maintain personal bodily autonomy, have children, not have children, and parent the children we have in safe and sustainable communities. Exercising solidarity has meant fundraising and volunteering with my local abortion funds to help people overcome financial and logistical barriers to abortion access. It has meant sharing my own abortion story so that everyone who has made this personal decision, often a parenting decision, know that they are loved and they're not alone. Since my first feminist socialist working group meeting almost 3 years ago, the same impetus to grow community based on radical compassion has carried me through local disaster relief and electoral campaigns, and there's no stopping now. If there remained any doubt that socialism is the path to the self-determination that we demand and deserve, I also saw my comrades around the country raise $137,000 for the Abortion Access Bowl-a-thon earlier this year. Now, speaking of fundraising, as socialists, we recognize the varied financial capabilities and accessibility needs of our comrades. That's why, with your support, DSA Solidarity Fund helps ensure that our democratic process isn't hindered by income, access to funds, accessibility needs, parental obligations, or geography. To the best of our ability, and we're getting better and better every day. As a poor and working class organization, our funding can only come from a principled place and in a democratic way. We must fund ourselves. The $94,000 we've raised from over 1,000 comrades so far is just the beginning. So please contribute to the Solidarity Fund today during this event and live stream. Throughout this program, you'll have various opportunities to give. For people watching online, you can pitch in at dsausa.org/solidarityfund. Give, but also join DSA if you haven't already at dsausa.org/join. Today only, joining and or contributing to the Solidarity Fund gets you a really awesome sticker. I wish I had one right here. Let's just imagine it together. So all of which is to say, what are you waiting for? We have a future to build together, and this movement needs you. This is community care. It's a culture of solidarity. To speak on how one chapter fosters this culture, I'd like to invite to the podium my fellow Texan, Ashkan Jahangiri of Austin DSA. Ashkan was elected chapter secretary and has been on Austin DSA's leadership committee since November 2017. Welcome.
Hello, comrades. My name is Ashkan Jahangiri. I use he, him pronouns. I've been a member of DSA in the Austin, Texas chapter for 2 years now. In that time, DSA members across the country and in Austin have relentlessly organized to build working class power, and we have a lot to show for it. I'm going to talk about how DSA's culture of political solidarity is a critical layer on top of which we organize our campaigns and build our movement. The small acts of everyday solidarity we extend to each other cuts past the dominant hyper-individualism of capitalist society and allows us to organize together in earnest. It's incredible to be here. I'm so proud to be a part of this movement. Since our last convention in 2017, DSA members have been critical to the ongoing teacher strike wave, to the election of class struggle candidates like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and we've made Medicare for All the most important issue of the 2020 national primaries. In Austin, we've organized to win a city council ordinance for paid sick leave for hundreds of thousands of workers. We also organized to win a long-fought campaign that forced Congressman Lloyd Doggett, a millionaire Democrat, to sign on to the Medicare for All bill. We've done so much more: political education, canvassing for a Green New Deal, standing in solidarity with organized labor, and beyond. And now, the chair of our Health Justice Committee, Heidi Sloan, is running for Congress as a Democratic Socialist in Texas. But what got us here? And how do we keep going? I joined DSA exactly 2 years ago. It was my introduction to political organizing. I look around. How did I get here? How did you get here? How did I get from my first meeting, where I knew so little, to where I am now, a delegate at the largest gathering of American socialists since the 1940s? How can we bring thousands more, millions more into the organized class struggle? The answer is complicated, but I want to highlight a key ingredient that holds DSA together. What allows us to come together to organize campaigns that build the power of the working class is that we are grounded in a culture of political solidarity. We act according to the maxim, from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. And we don't just do so out of the goodness of our hearts, but because this solidarity is conducive, is critical to organizing to build working class power. I look around this room and I see scores of working class people of so many different backgrounds. I don't know many of you, but we share much in common. What we all share in common is a certain knowledge and understanding. We know that we are in this together, and that only by sticking together and organizing together to grow our ranks and expand our reach do we stand any chance of taking power from the capitalist class. I know now that I can walk into a DSA meeting anywhere in this country, and I, or you, or any newcomer can quickly contribute to the latest campaign to build power. And that's because DSA is full of dedicated socialist organizers like ourselves who understand what it takes to bring DSA members, who are just a loose association of working class people, together in the struggle. It takes small but critical considerations, like having food at meetings. DSA spaces are different than any other space in society that I had been accustomed to before joining. My life was very different before I joined DSA. As I was becoming a socialist, I didn't know how to cope with my recognition of all the problems in society, problems that directly affect my life and those of my friends. Rent is too damn high, we couldn't get jobs or jobs with benefits, and global warming was making Texas summers even more miserable in the short term and dooming humanity, maybe even the capitalist class, in the long term. My friends also didn't know how to cope with these problems or with my constant bickering and agitating about them. I was becoming frustrated with my newfound ability to see the problems of the world alongside what I felt was my inability to do anything about it. So, I showed up to a DSA meeting. I knew from Twitter that Austin DSA had 800 members, which seemed like enough to do something. So I showed up to the next meeting I could find. I showed up to that first meeting, clueless about organizing, but enthusiastic about raising class consciousness. I immediately got my first taste of this political solidarity that I'm talking about, and I saw how it made a difference, how it allowed us to organize. We were sitting outside on some coffee shop patio at a very overcrowded table. It was loud and it was hot, again, summer in Texas. I was too broke to buy coffee, but I was stunned when I saw that one member just bought iced coffee and food for the whole table before the meeting. As someone who was broke and thought about every single penny, this was a big deal to me. But it also wasn't a big deal to the table, and that's what was important, because it meant that everyone had what they needed to fully participate without the distractions of just getting by in society. By relieving some of the burdens that capitalism puts on us, we were able to devote our energy toward organizing together. This was so radically different than the life I was used to with my friends. We had a culture of Venmoing each other for every slice of pizza or six-pack of beer, and it fostered mistrust, questioning, and shame. But here, someone who could do so just got coffee and snacks for everyone, and we proceeded to have a productive meeting. What do you know? Before I knew it, I was spending 30 hours a week on DSA and trying to build the socialist movement. Yeah, so, I don't know. As I got more involved in organizing meetings, canvases, and outward-facing events to bring in new socialists, I saw that it didn't just happen. We had to deliberately build and reproduce this culture of solidarity in the face of capitalism. My favorite example of this is Austin DSA's tradition of hosting barbecues after major canvases, or grilling, depending on where you're from. We cook food for each other, we chat with new members and help them get plugged into our chapter, and we rely on our chapter's ability to donate so that everybody gets a plate to eat and a beer to drink if they'd like. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's been a big part of our culture, and it helps make our canvases successful and well-attended. Capitalism only ever teaches us to be good consumers. I think the first thing we have to do to fight capitalism and build socialism is to break that. We can't get anywhere with the transactional relationships that dominate the rest of our lives. I'll wrap it up. Finally, I'm an organizer, so as you know, I have an ask of you. Do you want to ensure that every DSA member has the opportunity to participate in gatherings like this? Yeah. We practice solidarity in many ways, from the solidarity housing many of you are staying in, to subsidizing the convention with our dues, to hosting the convention at one of the only unionized hotels in Atlanta, to being able to come to the convention because of travel scholarships from the Solidarity Fund. The working class is varied, and you know what your capacity to give is. If you have deep pockets, please consider making a substantial contribution. $100, $500, $5,000 to the Solidarity Fund. If your pockets aren't so deep, $50 or $25 or even $5 makes a difference. We are all in this together, and if you can afford to give, please do so now, and I'll tell you how. Last thing I want to say is that we need socialist cash to take out capitalist trash. I'm going to donate right now, $50. Oh my God. Who's with me? Someone going to donate? Right on, I see a few hands. There are folks with squares. Can y'all raise your hands? Credit card things. Who can take your credit card information or collect your cash or your checks if you brought extras. And if you donate today, you'll get a sticker with a rose on it. Close your eyes and imagine it. Those watching online, you can give at dsausa.org/solidarityfund, and you will receive your rose sticker in the mail. Thank you, and solidarity forever. I'm going to hand it back to Hannah.
Let's see a warm round of ASL applause for Ashkan. All right, let's take a few moments as volunteers go around. Raise your solidarity cards to flag someone down to take your cash, check, credit card. Folks giving online, as a reminder, it's dsausa.org/solidarityfund. I was about to say join because it's so automatic. But hey, if you want to join, if you haven't yet, our movement needs you. So we'll take a few moments. I see folks moving around. For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union. there's another verse. For the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. That was beautiful. Comrades, I believe that we will win. Funding one another, funding our movement is part of laying the groundwork for victory. And just as we grow solidarity among individuals, so do we across the arbitrary, violent borders that seek to divide us. Up next is Ethan Earle of DSA's International Committee to introduce a series of comrades who are struggling alongside us under and against capitalist empire.
Hey everybody, I'm Ethan Earle, DSA at large, he, him, been in DSA since 2015 and been co-chair of our international committee since late 2018. We're in a period of reforming and growing out the international committee to sort of match the new organization that we are today, particularly post 2016. So if anybody wants to talk to me about that process, here I am. I'll be here all weekend. We'll be having also at 8:30 an open meet and greet for anybody who'd like to learn more. We're also really happy to be here with, I believe, 14 or so comrades from all over the world, from every continent, who are leaders and struggles under really some of the most difficult conditions imaginable. And it's been a real, I think, pleasure and privilege to have them. For me, anyway, in this moment where DSA is growing so fast, is moving so fast, and everything is coming at us so quickly and seems so close, it's fantastic to have folks from other parts of the world who can share with us their perspective and who can help to give us perspective about the challenges we face, about what holds us and brings us together as socialist comrades and what really matters. So that said, we've got, I believe, 7 comrades who are going to come up on stage and in the spirit of solidarity, share with us solidarity greetings from different parts of the world, say just a minute or two about the struggles that they're facing, what they're going through, and how we also can provide solidarity to them in their work and in their struggles. So all of that said, I'm going to get right into it with our first speaker, Rasha Mubarak from the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Rights. Give it up for Rasha.
Hello. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rasha Mubarak, and I come from Orlando, Florida. I am a Muslim daughter of Palestinian immigrants. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, but I don't claim my New York card. I say I'm a happy Floridian unless you get my Brooklyn blood pumping, which is quite often post-2016. I'm representing the U.S. Campaign for the Palestinian Human Rights. And for me to know that we are at a point where 2 Palestinian women are going to be speaking on the same stage, and there's no tokenization, appropriation, that this is about real solidarity, and to know that someone like Linda goes beyond work for Palestine, for Muslims, but she represents solidarity. Y'all, we are living in dark times that will forever define who we are. Will define who we are as residents in this country, as citizens in this world, as humans on this earth. At the U.S. Campaign for Palestinian Human Rights, we understand that only when we uplift and center connections between the struggle for Palestinian rights, the struggles for indigenous, Black, and brown communities, and other marginalized groups impacted by U.S. policies, both within and outside U.S. borders, we all will rise. We all will be free of persecution, and we will all finally breathe liberation. There is a global divide between those who believe in freedom and equality for all and those who justify racial and religious supremacy. While every struggle for freedom from Palestine to the U.S. is unique, it is our values that bring us together. That is solidarity. Right-wing, repressive, anti-democratic governments are rising around the globe, from the Trump administrations in the United States to the governments of presidents in Brazil, in Israel, and in the Philippines. Since Donald Trump came to power, his administration has charted out the most racist path for the future, denying people who are Black, brown, Muslim, immigrant, refugee, LGBTQ, and our women their rights to live in safety and freedom. Y'all, yes, these are debilitating times, but this is also a political moment for crises for rights globally. It presents opportunity to build a stronger movement for justice. Right now, we are witnessing a new U.S. far left, DSA. We are taking power in progressive wing of the world. Advocates, women of color, people in Congress, Black and brown activists are being attacked and targeted and marginalized because we all know that collective liberation threatens supremacy and supremacy's opponents. Y'all, this is tiring. They seek to silence those who advocate for real liberation that includes all people. They'd rather squash and quell the voices that seek justice unconditionally, without exception. We are the people, we are the power. We need DSA, activists, operatives to lead the shift towards rights-based, rights-first discourse on foreign policy, including on Palestine and Israel. Solidarity is to believe in equality. Solidarity is to pursue freedom. Solidarity is to demand justice. We can't allow exceptionalism to suffocate the plight to unconditional freedom of justice and equality when it comes to the human rights of people. We must fight for all people, regardless of where you come from, how you choose to worship, and the land that you live in. Thank you.
Thanks to Rasha for those powerful words. Next up, we have one of our international guests who is a challenger for Furthest Traveled Award, perhaps even besting our comrades who came on a bus from Kansas. From Japan, we've got Seishi Inada from the peace organization Zenko. Welcome, Seishi.
Hi, my name is Hinada, Japanese Democratic Socialist. It is a great honor for me to be with you all American Democratic Socialists, along with other international guests, to be at this historic DSA convention in Atlanta. On behalf of Zenko, National Assembly for Peace and Democracy, as well as MDS, Movement for Democratic Socialism Japan, I would like to extend my fraternal greeting of international solidarity, peace, and justice. Zenko is a Japanese grassroots social movement organization covering a variety of issues from anti-war, anti-military bases, labor issues, organizing temporary workers in the communities, and environmental issues, especially radiation-related health hazards caused by TEPCO, Tokyo Electric Power Co. Nuclear power plant in Fukushima, and also childcare and education. Zenko started in 1970, and next year we will have the 50th annual conference in Osaka. This year, in fact, last weekend, we invited one of your international committee member, Mr. Bill Yates from Seattle local. I hope he will make a, well, he was telling me sometimes people make a mistake, you see. But he said Bill Gates has money, but I have good looks, he was saying. And, well, anyway, he said he would make a good report on what he saw and experienced with us in Tokyo. So please read his report. I am really impressed after seeing 2 days of this convention by the number of young, overwhelmingly young people attending this, and also by the way you run and try to conduct this convention in the thoroughly, consistently democratic way, you see. This ASL language is my first experience, so I will bring it back to Japan. No one is doing it yet in Japan. One of the resolutions we raised in that conference last weekend is on promoting and advancing international solidarity work, especially at the time when the right-wingers and global capitalists across the Pacific and around the world are working together very hard. We democratic socialists should work harder than them across the world. I sincerely hope this bond among democratic socialists around the globe will continue to develop till we defeat Abe in Japan and Trump in the US, Duterte in Philippines, and Bolsonaro in Brazil and others. We continue this solidarity work for the long time to come in the future. Long live democratic socialism. Long live DSA. Long live international solidarity. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Anata, for that. ASL Applause, just one little example of international solidarity in action. From there, we're going to move to Europe, where we had another recent showing when Maria Svart, on a trip to Brussels, taught the European left what Zoom was. And now apparently the European left loves it. So to talk to us about that and perhaps other matters as well, next up we've got from Die Linke, the left party in Germany, Ali Schroeder.
So, my dear comrades, I'm happy to be here, obviously. It's the first time for me in the south of the States. I've been always in the bubble of New York before, and I have to say I like the south. I chatted with people on the streets, especially with homeless people, and they are really nice persons, and they are on your side, I guess, on our side, and we are fighting for them, and we are fighting for the poorest in society, and this is a good job to do. So, following your Congress, I have to say something. You got everything to have success. So, you are smart, you have got passion, you treat each other fairly, most of the time, and you got the momentum. So please stay together. I know that parties sometimes have growing pains, but go forward, make it productive, and please avoid the sickness of the left, and that's the splitting. We have several examples of that in Europe, and don't do that. Huh? Don't do that. So, and I was told to be very brief, so I will, and I would like to share only one political message with you. And as I'm from Germany, it's my duty to say very loud and clear, anti-fascism is no crime. It's the opposite. Anti-fascism is a duty to all Democrats. And we all together, we are anti-fascists. We are going to the streets and campaigning together for anti-fascist, democratic and social society. And if we will not do that, nobody will do the job. So our responsibility grew, and let's go on forward. And dear comrades, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for that, Ali. When he said that we all treat each other fairly, I misheard him as saying we all tweet each other fairly. And I was like, but anyhow, next up we're going to stay in Europe here and hear from a representative from the Party of the European Left representing 28 parties across Europe. From its executive committee, we have Waltraud Fritz. Waltraud, the floor is yours.
Hello, comrades. Ethan already told you half the story of the European left, and I just add that you hear another German accent, but actually I'm an Austrian. So apologizing for Europe being presented with the German-speaking community so much. Anyway, dear comrades, on behalf of the European Left Party, and especially from our president, another German, Gregor Gysi, our heartfelt greetings of solidarity. The ELP, as Ethan already mentioned, is an all-European party, an alliance of 35 members and observers and more partners, representing nearly a quarter of a million members. That was wishful thinking, and millions of voters. The left forces of Europe are quite excited about what's going on here in the USA. There are new and powerful messages coming over the Atlantic. A message generally needed and happily received in Europe. A message of hope and optimism, of dedication and action, and successes. It is indeed awesome and a great privilege to be with you in these significant moments of time, to watch your dedication and your commitment to deliver. The Democratic Socialists of America are at the forefront of the struggles of a new America in another radical changed world. They are the best example how a new left can grow and flourish in extreme difficult circumstances. We Europeans highly appreciate the consequent engagement of DSA for a radical change in the current US foreign policy. The European Left Party has realized the necessity to work together much closer with the DSA than in the past. Much, much closer, I want to add. More focused on common project and common goals. Comrades, the European left forces are drawing much energy and hope from your work, from what you have achieved already, and from the sure knowledge that you will succeed for a transatlantic solidarity. Thank you.
Thanks so much for those words, Val. Okay, next up, I had said earlier that Renata might be in it for the Furthest Traveled Award, but it was a setup because our next speaker came from so far away that he was actually with Renata on his second leg of his travel to get here. So we have from the Philippines and Partido Lakas ng Masa, Aaron Pedrosa. Aaron, the floor is yours.
Mabuhay, DSA! And let me just refer to the script. It has to be official. It was written by my party. The extrajudicial killings under the Duterte regime have now risen to around more than 27,000 Filipinos. and that does not include the killings of 20 Filipinos in less than 1 week in one province. The Philippines has 80 provinces. Imagine, 73 killed on an average every day, 3 Filipinos every hour. We understand that the Duterte regime and its authoritarian rule, heralding the slide towards dictatorship, is a part of an international political period and trend. This trend is represented by the rise of national chauvinists and white supremacist forces, racism, misogyny, attacks on reproductive health, the rejection of climate science and concerted push towards coal and fossil fuels, and the drive to war in international relations. We believe that today, more than ever, international solidarity has to be an essential component of the political struggle, and this solidarity should be propelled and led by the socialist movement. An international solidarity from against rising dictatorship and fascism. Our main focus in the Philippines is building and developing the resistance to the authoritarian Duterte regime and the slide towards dictatorship. And we call for a campaign of international socialist struggles, solidarity with our struggle. While this far right is on the rise, the resistance is also growing. Although there's so much to be done to develop the struggle to reverse the right-wing trends, the positive developments we're seeing in the US is encouraging. An important feature of the resistance is the rise in popularity of socialist ideas and socialism as an alternative to the capitalist system, especially among the young people. It is reassuring that the DSA National Convention is composed of almost 80, if not 90% young people. The growth of the DSA in the past few years is a testimony to this. We welcome this and congratulate you on your achievements on this front. We understand that the DSA convention is taking place right now at a crucial time. Let us maximize this time to send the message across that socialism is not contained in one border. Socialism is internationalism. We will move forward where there is fascism, where there is oppression, and we will unite shoulder to shoulder. Mabuhay DSA, mabuhay socialismo.
Thank you so much, Aaron, for all of that. It's really important for us to remember that our democratic socialism is not socialism without international solidarity. And the stories of struggle and perseverance that Aaron and others have to tell us is a really important reminder of that. So is our next speaker, who is going to talk to us a little bit about terrible adversity, oppression, and also the courage of a movement. I'm going to welcome from the Sudanese Professionals Association, Nukhasen.
Hi. Assalamu alaikum. I'm not really expect to give this 2 minutes, so I just wrote it when I was just sitting here. So yeah, and hopefully my English will also help me. So really and truly being here in the DSA 2019 was a worthy experience for me, really. Your work is mighty and your effort is an example for a role model for other nations like Sudan, and must be raised up and look for their rights and better life. What I observed from yesterday here, that grabbing legitimate rights and the political democracy, like what you have here, come by claiming them. But the hardest way is to preserve them generation after generation. And this is what I observed since yesterday, is that I saw how massive presence of youth here in the DSA 2019. Attending this convention is a source of inspiration of how hard work can be achieved when you believe in it. And it makes a difference for our kids and the coming generation. On behalf of the Sudanese Professional Association, and the Sudanese people now are fighting for 7 months since December for one slogan. Our main slogan is freedom, peace, and justice. The civil state is our choice. From my country, I send you all my solidarity for the DSA. And I hope that you present also your solidarity for us, for the extraordinary rule of the Sudanese women who were hit, raped, killed, imprisoned, just because they went outside on the street and procession and claiming for their natural rights of better life. And solidarity for DSA, solidarity for the peaceful Sudanese revolution, and you are really our role model right now, in Sudan. And I will be happy to transfer what I learned from you since yesterday till tomorrow to my country when I will be back in December by the end of this year. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much for that, Nuha. And I want to really implore everybody here to reach out to Nuha, to reach out to Aaron, to reach out to Rasha and others personally to talk about the way that you and your work and your chapter can support them in their struggles. So we're just about to finish this segment. I again just want to say thank you so much to our international guests who are here. We have one more speaker. We have other international guests in the audience, so please look for them, get to know them, talk with them. Now we're going to turn to South America for a comrade who's living in a country where its leaders have been jailed and thrown out of the electoral process, replaced by a far-right extremist leader that somehow makes Trump look like a moderate almost, and a party that has suffered the brutal assassination of its leader, Marielle Franco, and a man whose last name I really can't pronounce, no matter how many times I try to say it in the mirror, but I will welcome to the stage nonetheless, Bruno Magalhães.
Thank you, comrades. The guy in the airport really can't pronounce that too. My name is Bruno. The last 10 years I was a public school teacher in São Paulo. Now I'm working in the international task in the PSOL, our Socialism and Liberty Party. At first I need to congratulate all the comrades. We in Brazil are really excited with the democratic socialist movement here in US. Well, in Brazil, the US fame is not so good, and you are switching that. It's very important. I think the internationalism is important because show us that all the human beings are the same, and all the peoples are the same. And well, it's very in a capitalist world when individualism is the most important thing learned, taught by the people. It's very important the internationalist duty. I have two examples of internationalism is important to us in Brazil. The first example is, well, Ethan already said, but about our comrade Marielle Franco, was executed by the militias in Rio. I live in Rio too, and the assassins of Marielle won't be in jail now. And if the Marielle crimes don't solve, sorry, my English is really awful, but if the Marielle crimes don't solve, every militant in Brazil was in danger because Bolsonaro said he can't kill more. And for us, it's very important. We have a movement called Rede Emancipa. It's a social movement education. I have the T-shirt. And we are organizing the youth in the favelas in Rio and other country, parts of the country to fight and organize against the militias and against the far right. No? And another example to finish, it's, well, as a teacher in São Paulo, we go to strike, we went to the strike at the same time of the Oakland teachers. And the example of the Oakland teachers, we send letters, they respond to us. It's very important to São Paulo teachers to be more moralized, more strained in our struggle. No? To finish, I think it's important, the internationalism, because when we felt alone in our tasks, in our militancy, it's very important to think there are thousands and thousands of other comrades around the world with the same struggle, with the same fight, and it's very important to moralize our struggle. No? And well, I think it's not only a slogan, but our internationalism really can defeat imperialism. We need to try that and win. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much to all of our international guests, again, for how far you've come and for being here, for sharing with us tonight. I am going to turn things back over to Lawrence and Hannah and the crew, but before I do, I will just add and echo their comments to please give to DSA here today. I'm going to take up the challenge and give $50 with the little thingy as soon as I sit down. Please do the same. And that's it. I'm looking forward to hearing our next speakers and to hearing, I believe, Hannah take over. Thanks, everybody.
We are singing again. Wow, I am in my feels. Obrigada, dankeschön, arigato, shukram. Introducing the international.
Hey guys.
Hey. I'm Annie Levin, this is Alex Holmstrom-Smith, and we are members of Sing in Solidarity, and that is the choir of New York City DSA. We are cultural organizers, and we perform agitational propaganda at political events all over New York City. We also believe a better world is possible, and that better world should include some damn good socialist music.
All right, so we're gonna sing the Internationale, which is the, supposedly you guys have these lyric sheets in your packets or something, so please take it out. If you can take a look at your lyric sheets, in the chorus, which is starts the third one down, there is a his pronoun. We're going to use they, so try to keep that in mind, okay? And just a little bit about this song. It's been like the anthem of the international working class since the 19th century. Socialists, communists, anarchists, democratic socialists, everyone has been singing this song, and so when we all rise together, which is what we're going to ask you to do, we are evoking that history and reaffirming our commitment to the international working class struggle.
Oh, okay.
Right. So as my comrade said, so please, if you're willing and able, please stand for the singing of the Internationale, the anthem of the left.
Arise, ye prisoners of starvation, arise, ye wretched of the earth, for justice thunders condemnation, a better world's in birth. No more traditions chains shall bind us, rise ye slaves, no more in thrall. The earth shall rise on new foundations, we have been not, we shall be all. Till
Thank you so much. If you're in New York City, August 9th, People's Forum, we're having an anti-fascism themed concert. So come hang here, sing in solidarity, sing with other awesome activist musicians.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. While we're on the subject of giving and labor solidarity and picket lines, who all went out to the picket line earlier today? Yes. Oh. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Abby Agresti of Chicago's DSA Labor Working Group, who supported workers in her city across a 26-hotel strike.
Hi, DSA. My name is Abby, and I am here from the mighty Chicago DSA chapter. We are over 1,400 socialists that are hitting the pavement. We are electing socialist aldermen. We're fighting for rent control. We're municipalizing our energy system. And we are fighting for Medicare for all. We are organizers fighting for democracy in our city and our workplaces. So in a training recently, we made a joke that if you stumble upon a picket line, this is what you should do. And that's because Chicago is a city where workers strike. I recognize that's not normal. We are proud of that militant history, from the Haymarket Affair to the Chicago Teachers Union strike. Chicago workers know their power. Chicagoans really take to heart the famous line in Solidarity Forever, "Without our mind and muscle, not a single wheel shall turn." So one day there was a big strike. It wasn't one day, it was actually a month. It was in 2018. There was a massive private sector strike of 6,000 workers at 26 hotels. Like the union members here at this hotel, they were Unite Here members. And those workers used their most powerful tool against the boss, to forgo going into work and to walk the picket line instead. They were demanding one of the most central things that we fight for as socialists: health care. See, in Chicago, it's really cold in the winter, like really cold in the winter. And the hotels, because no one comes and visits us, the hotels have to lay off their workers en masse. I don't agree with this, but they do that. It happens. And when they lay off their workers, those people lose their employer-based health insurance. That's something you can hiss at. Now, many of us in this room viscerally know the feeling of losing our health care. It's one of the scariest things that can ever happen to a person, and being told just go on COBRA is not enough. We need Medicare for all. But we don't have that right now, so these workers had to do what they needed to do to win year-round health care, so they went on strike for it. So Chicago DSA, we found ourselves in a kind of odd role. We were suddenly thrust into being the largest organization with the infrastructure to provide community solidarity to the striking hotel workers. It was actually really wild getting calls from union presidents asking me what DSA was doing to support. And they wanted to follow our lead. I'm gonna be honest, we were lost. Except one day I was biking to work and I heard one solo bucket drum. So you all know, if you've ever seen a hotel strike, they are loud. That is part of their strength, is that they're loud. But this was just one drum by itself going. And I called my boss and I told him that I was gonna be late. And I biked around until I found that drum. And I found it. It was a tiny picket line of only 7 workers. They were far away from the rest of the picket lines. They were very small, but they were strong. Once I hopped off my bike, I was met with a hug from a woman shaking a tambourine. Her name is Wanda. She was shocked that a stranger from the street stopped their commute to walk in circles and make noise. I immediately texted my comrades Kevin and Tony, and together we made a plan. We should send our members to walk that tiny line and that one only. The other lines had twice as many people and tons of people who were able to stop by during the day because of their location. But that one needed numbers. We ended up sending members there for several days, on their lunch breaks, after work, before work. We spent so much time there that Wanda, the woman who hugged me, who was the picket captain and the shop steward, she actually worked, the hotel was called the Hotel Blake. She'd worked there for 20 years as a housekeeper. She asked, what are you? What are all these people doing here? And can I come to your meeting? So we invited her. Kevin Robinson invited her to our labor working group meeting, which was conveniently that night. At that meeting, we learned that Wanda was one rent payment away from being evicted. That's the harsh reality of being a worker in the United States, and that's the harsh reality of going on strike. Her and her 2 children's lives were in jeopardy, but Wanda knew she wasn't alone. You're not alone, and we are not alone. DSA members were ready to jump into action. I remember furiously texting with Chicago DSA members from our housing working group, Laureen, if you're here, seeing if we could set up a fundraiser or even community defense to make sure that Unite Here members would not be evicted just because they were fighting for year-round health care. Thankfully, we didn't have to do that, because soon Wanda's call from the picket line was answered, and we won. Since then, we have established a strike and solidarity committee, and right now we are actually preparing to provide solidarity to over 30,000 public school workers who are preparing to strike for better schools and stronger communities. This time, we can plan ahead. Now, I know that Chicago isn't the only chapter that has seen solidarity in action. In Detroit, DSA members fought against the closure of a GM plant while making demands for a Green New Deal. New York statewide DSA fought for rent reform and won. Louisville and Austin both organized and made their entrenched Democrat congressmen endorse Medicare for all. In DSA, we know solidarity. What we learned on that picket line is that we have power in numbers. That when we stand together, we can win. We need a mass movement towards socialism. We have the world to win, comrades, but we need to go do it. But first, this is one of the places where we build that. And I know that it took a lot of time and money to get here. So I have an ask. I always have an ask. Could you make a donation to DSA Solidarity Fund? Because as we build power, we need to do 2 things. We need to have organized people and organized money. So can you donate $5 or $10 or whatever amount is meaningful to you? Yeah? We need to pour our financial resources into this movement. Let's stand in solidarity with each other right now. There are people on the sides ready to collect your donations. They have the square thing. Or you have these little envelopes under your butt. I found mine under my butt. You can put money into this. Or if you're watching live right now or would rather not get up from your seat, you can go to dsausa.org/solidarityfund. Thank you so much, comrades. Solidarity forever.
Y'all, let's see a round of applause for Abby. Y'all, as an update, as of now, we have raised $99,000. And I know that with all of you here, we can make it to 100,000. Before we started this event tonight, 100 donations had already been made today, the average being $24. Again, to each according to from each according to ability to each according to need. So, like Abby said, locate our amazing volunteers with the bags for the envelopes, with the squares for the checks and cash. And I asked you to imagine the sticker that you get earlier, but here it is. It's real cute. So yeah, you can get it right here and now. We can have it mailed to you today only if you donate at dsausa.org/solidarityfund, and or if you join DSA, for everyone watching online, dsausa.org/join, you get one of these. So while our volunteers go around, I just want to recognize a few ways that DSA is practicing solidarity right now as we convene to democratically make our organization ever more equitable. Children are welcome. We have 6 kids here at convention, the future of our movement, being watched by lovely Child Watch folks and sometimes gracing this room with their presence as well. And a breast or chest feeding area. We have a quiet room where the convention is being live streamed while comrades take care of themselves. By having a national harassment and grievance officer in place, we're promoting a culture where people feel safer and we listen to survivors. Also, solidarity housing. Heartfelt thanks to our comrades in Atlanta who have offered their homes to those of us coming in from out of town. And as we've heard a few times, this DSA convention is taking place in a union hotel because we don't cross picket lines. So can I see a silent show of appreciation and solidarity for the workers who are making this gathering possible? Yes, amazing. So, without further ado, I'm thrilled to invite Cecily Mayart Cruz of United Teachers Los Angeles National Education Association to share her story and her truth with this plenary. Cecily helped lead over 30,000 educators on strike earlier this year when collectively they won improved conditions for themselves as well as groundbreaking racial justice improvements for their students. Because if we can count on any group to show up for their communities, it's educators. A teacher for 23 years, both at the elementary and middle school levels, she brought the house down at this year's YDSA conference, and I can't wait to hear from her right now. Let's give Cecily Mayart Cruz a warm ESL welcome.
All right. Good evening, sisters, brothers, and non-binary siblings. My name is Cecily Mayart Cruz, and I am United Teachers Los Angeles NEA Vice President. And I'm humbled by the invitation to share with you tonight. For as long as I can remember, I have been an organizer and an activist. Whether it was in 11th grade, as a student in 1989, jumping the fence to walk with my striking teachers, leading paraprofessionals to organize and demand our duty-free break, as a first-year teacher in Compton, organizing a sit-in at the district so that we could get paid, or in January, striking with 35,000 of my closest colleagues. A strike that continues to reverberate throughout the nation. Our strike did not happen overnight. It took 4 years to build structures, to test those structures, to refine, retool, reassess, and repeat. But let's go back. In 2011, progressive-minded folks passed a resolution called the Schools Los Angeles Students Deserved. It was shelved by our former president of the union. We assessed the terrain of our union and how to take it over. And in 2014, we were elected, and we used the Schools Los Angeles Students Deserve as an umbrella of what was needed. We needed to change our union from being a service model to an organizing one. That meant we needed to hire an executive director, a research and analytics director, a communications director, a field and organizing director, a political director, and regional organizers. That was a lot. But we needed that. We needed all of these positions to enact a change that our union needed and deserved. And so we got to work, conducting a deep organizing plan with students, community organizations, parents, where our goal was to listen to the community and lift up our issues and theirs simultaneously. We also began going to school sites. We have 925 of them. We led bargaining and listening sessions with members, and we did the same with the community. We used the model bargaining for the common good to lift up our issues along with the communities. And in order for folks to actually buy in, we needed to be real. We needed to be authentic. But meanwhile, the district and the privatizers with their neoliberal agenda said the district was broke on purpose. They created a crisis, they starved our schools, and then they blamed educators. Educators lay dormant, working and providing for our students. They never asked for much except RESPECT. Respect the work that we do, respect our students, respect our parents, and respect our communities. The district could care less. They underestimated educators. They used FUD, F-U-D, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. That's what bosses do, no matter what profession. They prey on fear. They never thought that educators would use their outside voice. But educators grew tired of the district's non-responsiveness, and they showed the world what fed up was really like. So on January 14, 2019, in torrential rains, and by the way, Tony got it wrong, because it does rain in Southern California. 35,000 teachers, along with 30,000 parents, students, and community members, went on strike for the soul of public education. The district could not frame us as greedy teachers. We owned and controlled the narrative for 6 days. And by the way, we still control the narrative. We spoke about class size and over-testing, supports for our students, community schools, immigration defense, green space, and ending random searches that criminalize and marginalize our Black and brown youth, our queer youth, and Muslims. Our picket lines were strong. Our message was disciplined. And the one-on-one conversations that we led with parents and community daily were undescribable. Parents and students and community organizations held actions at targeted district official and privatizer homes every single night of the strike. The community showed up in ways we could never have imagined. And we thank you, DSA, for running tacos for teachers. That generous donation fed many people on the line and sustained striking workers. DSA LA put 220 folks at 3 school sites to bolster picket lines. And that meant a lot, but it showed us solidarity. It means that we have a common struggle that intersects, and everyone in this room and outside watching knows that you've got to be a part of the movement building. But we must also sustain the fight by giving to organizations that supported us during the strike. We can no longer afford to complain about what is going wrong in our organizations if we are not willing to move up and make significant changes. We don't have that luxury. We've got to get involved in our locals. We've got to get involved in affiliate locals. And we've got to have courageous conversations with people who you don't even know. You've got to have one-on-one conversations to frame the choice with them, because that is the only way that we are truly going to build power on the ground. Now, I see teaching as a revolutionary act, just the way I see organizing. It's hard, it's messy, and sometimes it can be too much. But you can never allow fear to win. We must engage folks to take action in different ways. And we must make every work site an anti-racist one. So when I say Black Lives Matter, it doesn't discount anyone else's life. I say that because of the most marginalized folks that are being attacked in the workplace and outside this very moment. That means that we've got to connect in different ways with people of color, with women of color, and gender non-conforming. We must have them centering our work to move our organizations forward. We are looking for co-conspirators and accomplices in this struggle. And as far as our youth, they are not the future. They are the present. And we need to wrap our arms around them because they are leading in this moment. We must walk alongside them. They are watching us, and it is up to us to change where we are, to engage with them in a way that shakes the very foundation of our nation. This isn't a moment, this is a movement. This is not a sprint, but a marathon. The time is now to lead, to act boldly, and to be unapologetic in our quest for building power and complete liberation of our people. Solidarity.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Thank you. Hard to follow that, but we have one last speaker left to introduce while y'all let the solidarity just soak in. Our next guest, Linda Sarsour, is a DSA member, Palestinian-American Brooklyn community organizer, self-proclaimed Islamophobe's worst nightmare, and former executive director of the Arab American Association of New York. Linda has been co-chair of the 2017 Day Without a Woman and the 2017 and 2019 women's marches, as well as the lead plaintiff in a suit challenging the legality of Trump's travel ban. Earlier this year, Linda and I, having never seen each other before, crossed paths in line for the She the People Presidential Forum at Texas Southern University back in Houston. And before I could finish awkwardly saying something along the lines of "thank you for being here," she already had me in a warm hug, which is a testament to the power of solidarity. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Linda Sarsour.
What up, DSA? So I get invited to these spaces because I gotta speak truth, because that's just the Brooklyn in me. Like in Brooklyn, I always tell people it must be something in the water. Maybe the water is actually missing something. We just don't have any filters. So I'm just deeply honored and humbled to be amongst all of you today, amongst my New York City DSA members, my colleagues, so many people in this room, organizers that I've known and worked with for so long. You know, I literally looked at the program. I was like, what is Russia doing here? Why did she not tell me that she's going to be here? So I'm glad to have seen folks or be surprised by the presence of folks. My dear brother Abdullah Yunus, from co-chair of New York City DSA chapter, and Bianca, like, I'm just really proud of the people that we brought here from New York, repping us back in our home state. When I think about DSA, and I think about the potential that DSA has to be a true political force in this country at a time when we need it most, these words from Muhammad Ali come to me. Impossible is just a big word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact. It is an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration. It's a dare. So I'm here to dare you, DSA. I'm here to dare you to center the most marginalized people. I dare you, DSA, to see solidarity as a verb, solidarity as a form of action. I dare you, DSA, to be not about you, DSA, but about the most broken and marginalized and hurt people in this country who are counting on you to get your shit straight so we can get our country straight. I want to dare you, DSA, to remember that you live in a country where there is fascism, full-blown fascism is happening around us. And if you don't see that, then we got problems. You are living in a country where we are literally stripping babies from the mothers of the arms of their mothers. We're literally caging children that have no adequate food or medical care. We literally are stripping children where we don't even know if they're ever going to be reunited with their families. You live in a country that has stripped 23 million people of health care, and every day somebody's trying some way to strip the rest of us with health care and want to ban or block others from even ever trying to get health care. You live in a country who is literally every day trying to find different ways to strip LGBTQ people of their rights. A country that every day, and maybe there are days where you may not hear about it because it's not on Twitter, where unarmed black people are being killed on the streets of their communities all across the country at the hands of police and gun violence. A country where we are literally weakening union power. A country where there's always more threats of war every single day. We are not just living in really dark times, and people say that, and it's true, but we've been here before many times before. And the question that DSA needs to ask themselves is, who do you want to be? What are you trying to do in this moment? What kind of story do you want to be told about DSA 40 years from now? We have to win. This is not a we hope to win, or we're going to try everything that we can to win. We have no choice but to win. There are people in our country who are sitting at home right now figuring out whether or not they can feed their children dinner. There are homeless people right now on the streets of our communities, some of whom are veterans, who are trying to find the next place to sleep tonight. There is somebody right now who literally just put up a GoFundMe because they need to have a life-saving surgery. We have undocumented people who every day got to change their routes and how they go to work so that they're not stopped by Gestapo ICE. There are children who are sitting in schools who are being put in other rooms or being punished with detention because they couldn't pay their lunch debt. We have millions of people in our country in utter poverty, and we should be ashamed of ourselves. DSA, if you are here because DSA is supposed to be making you feel comfortable, you're in the wrong place. If you are here to tell DSA you need to do these 17,899 things to make me feel good, this is not the organization for you. If you are in DSA to take one collective liberation movement to divide it up into things that make you feel comfortable, this is not the organization for you. There are people who are counting on us. Literally. There are people whose lives depend on us building a political movement that is centered on values and principles and the most broken and marginalized people in this country. So, freedom in this country is not free. It's just not. So if you think that you're going to talk to me about capitalism and we got to smash the patriarchy and capital, I get that. Got to do parallel tracks because you live in a capitalist nation right now. I'm sorry to break it to you. And in order for us to build a sustainable movement that is worthy to the people we are fighting for, we got to get our finances together. We need money to build this movement, right? Some of you may be like, well, I have a lot of time on my hands. I can come and volunteer. Not everybody has that time. We need to have organizers, like Cecily said. We need to be able to make sure that we could cover and show solidarity and help uplift and build the capacity of movements all over this country. And DSA has that power, has the resources and the capabilities to do that, and we need to do that. So I say to all of you that while you're all trying to build the revolution, while you're all trying to smash patriarchy and end capitalism, which is probably something we may all agree on here, in the meantime, there are really hurt, broken people that know that that's not happening, at least not by next year. So that means in this time, DSA people will have to realize that we got to alleviate harm on the people who are being the most harmed in this country. So don't be all about you and your, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't feel. It's not about you. It really is not about you. Tonight, when you're voting tonight on NPC members, you vote for the most qualified people, the most compassionate people, the most passionate people, the people with the track records in their DSA chapters who have done bold and transformative organizing. It's not about who you like and who's in another faction and who's in another caucus. It's not about that. And if that's what you're going to do tonight, then you're proving to marginalized people all over this country that you don't give a damn about the most broken people. You only care about yourself and what you believe and what you think. So I came here to tell DSA this. I'm counting on you. I come here because I am in solidarity with you. I am a card-carrying DSA member because I see the potential of DSA. DSA has a lot of potential. People are afraid of DSA. I know they are in New York for sure. I don't know about it everywhere else. So I want to wrap up by saying this. We live in a country that has done horrible and atrocious things to people. And if we keep internally fighting amongst ourselves, we are giving the opposition the pathway to create more atrocities against our people, more than they already are. Unity is not uniformity. We all come from different places. We have all been brought up different ways. Some of us are immigrants. Some of us are children of immigrants. Some of you are from the South. Some of you are from the North, from the East Coast and the West Coast. We're all not going to agree on everything. Guess what? That's normal, people. That's just normal, just so you know. But, so unity is not uniformity. So you cannot have an organization who's going to cater to every single human being that is in that organization, and everybody wants to see that's not how this works. This is a collective organization where we pick principles and values that bring us together. And if you care about other things outside of those 10, 15 things, well, then go organize around those things. You don't need, there's no way that an organization could be everything to everybody. So I'm not going to lie to you, I've been a little frustrated watching this whole thing. Procedural stuff. There's 5 hours of against this and against that and for this and for that. There are people that are dying in our country. There are people who don't have health care. There are people at the borders right now who are without adequate food, being treated less than animals in our country. And we don't have time for this. Get it together, DSA. Give your resources to DSA. This is all we got, my folks. We are all we got. This is it, people. There's no alternative to what we're trying to do here. So let's find ways to build deep, transformative relationships. Put your money where your mouth is. Support DSA. Just like the right organizes their money, the left needs to start organizing our money. I'm a monthly donor to DSA, and I'm very proud of that. And I don't do that for many organizations. And I also donated here today. And if you already gave to DSA, give again. You know you have an extra $20 laying around. You may have an extra $50 laying around. You know what? Your investment is solidarity. When you give to something meaningful that's going to help the most broken and marginalized people, that builds a political revolution, that centers all of us where we all feel seen and heard, that, my friends, is solidarity. So let's get it together. Let's win. We got no choice. I'm counting on you, DSA. We got to win. Y'all in? We're going to win? Solidarity.
Y'all, if this wasn't abundantly clear, we are in this together. From our shared responsibilities and goals arises community, and community care is what sustains our democratic socialist movement. Following Linda, I really have nothing else to add. So as you take to heart what you just heard from our extraordinary comrades, I urge you to continue to contribute whatever amount is meaningful to you to the DSA Solidarity Fund. By the way, update, we have broken $110,000 invested in our movement for radical, compassionate socialism. So thank you. For now, definitely be sure you are back here at 7 p.m. to vote on our new National Political Committee. Solidarity forever, y'all.